Let's call the meeting to order. Roll call, please, clerk.
The record will reflect all members are present.
Okay. Invocation, I think Pastor Richard Rodriguez is here to do that for us.
Father in heaven, we just thank you, Lord God, for your love, your grace, and mercy upon us, Lord. And Lord, as this meeting is to take place, Lord God, we come before you, Lord God, seeking your wisdom, Lord God. I pray your blessing upon this meeting, Lord God. May your Spirit lead, guide, and direct us, Lord God, in all things. And we thank you, Lord, and we love you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. John, would you like to lead us in this?
Ready? Begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Pastor.
Okay. We go to item number 1, which is approval of the agenda, and I will entertain a motion for that.
I make a motion that we approve the agenda as presented if there's nothing to be changed on the consent.
Second.
In a second. Okay. Any discussion? Nothing to be pulled? Okay. Then all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay, public appearances and comments. Not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You are not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions and comments to the city council, and I believe we have some items that we'll take. And the first item will be an introduction of one of our new police officers, Ryan Anderson. And if they would like to come up, Chief. And I think we have Agent Salvador Robles, the field training officer, here with us also.
Honorable Council, it's a pleasure to introduce to you this evening our newest police officer. This is Officer Ryan Anderson. He comes to us from the San Diego area. He has a beautiful wife and a daughter, and we welcome them to our family, and we're excited to have him aboard. Mr. Ryan Anderson.
Very good. Okay. Well, we certainly look forward to having you on the force, and we know you'll be very successful.
Thanks, sir.
Any other comments? Anybody else?
Little speech, you can say something.
Yeah, say something.
Let's say something.
I'm born and raised in San Diego, and I'm really excited to be with the city of Brawley and a part of this team. It's been a long-term goal for me, and just really excited to be here. And I thank you all, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the future.
Congratulations.
All right.
Welcome aboard.
All right.
Just as a note, Mr. Anderson is a accomplished country music singer and guitarist. He had a band at one point.
Oh, okay.
Please step back up.
If we ever need something, I'm sure he can.
Should we do like the voice right now?
Oh, no.
There we go.
Oh, no. Okay. Well, thank you very much for
Congratulations.
being here. All right. Very good. All right. Okay, moving right along, we have a proclamation for Veterans Appreciation Month, May of 2013. And the proclamation, it reads as follows: whereas the people of Imperial Valley appreciate and admire the thousands of men and women who served in the armed forces to protect and preserve their country and the freedoms enjoyed by all Americans, and whereas in war, international conflicts, and peacekeeping missions, men and women have been wounded, taken as prisoners, and died in the line of duty, and whereas veterans possess a wide variety of valuable qualities, including experience, maturity, leadership, and loyalty that make them ideal candidates for employment, and whereas the city of Brawley is committed to ensuring that veterans receive the services and programs to which they're entitled, and to promoting employer interest in hiring veterans. And whereas during Veterans Appreciation Month, state and local agencies increase employer awareness about the benefits of hiring veterans, and now therefore the city of Brawley does hereby proclaim May 2008 as Veterans Appreciation Month in the city of Brawley, California.
2013. 2013.
This says 2008. Okay. Well, we'll get that corrected then. Okay. So we're going to present this to, do we take action on this? Oh, no. We'll present this to Rick, who's here. Rick Partridge is here representing the veterans today.
Rick, let's pretend this is just a few years back in 2008.
Yeah, since I read it as I see it.
Change the date. Okay. All right, please add you guys like each other, remember? A little too close there. There we go.
Lloyd with his fancy camera, that's a lot of shots.
That's nice.
Also, on May 7th, at the Veteran Hall, at 11 o'clock, we're gonna have a ceremony there, so everybody's welcome to come, okay?
I think that's a yearly
May 7th.
thing.
It's a yearly thing.
Most churches.
So we do it at the Veteran Hall, and you're all welcome to come. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
It's in the morning.
Correction.
Yeah.
Okay. And now we have a presentation by Lane Pugh of the United States Marine Corps regarding training in Brawley.
All right, thank you. Let me just get this set up here. And do you folks have screens in front of you, or
We're just reading.
Yeah. Okay, this one here. Okay, great. All right, like the agenda said, my name is Lane Pugh. I'm a special agent with the Naval Criminal Investigative Service, but as a veteran myself, it was nice to be followed by, or to follow that presentation. I currently serve as the law enforcement and civil government liaison for the 1st Marine Special Operations Training Group out of Camp Pendleton. And so it's pretty much my job to help the Marines facilitate what they call, as it says on the slide here, realistic urban training. Just as I'll try to keep this under 4 minutes, so if I get too long, you
If you
guys
go a
just
little
take
bit
your
over,
time.
that's okay. Take your time.
But essentially, to prepare the Marines for their deployment anywhere in the world, they do what's called realistic urban training, which takes them off of Camp Pendleton or off of actual military installations that have training sites that they're just used to. And so essentially, right now, we just finished up their maritime portion where there's a MU, a Marine Expeditionary Unit, and all their planners and all the men and Marines and sailors are waiting for a mission. And they get called up and they get the mission right then, and they have to plan everything with a site they have no idea. Like we did gas and oil platforms off of Carpinteria. We're going to do a city up in Utah. They have no idea where they're going. Just like in the real world, there might be a downed pilot, there might be an embassy under siege, whatever. Yeah. And so in this case, with the assistance of Sergeant John Blackstone from the Brawley Police Department, I was able to find a site here in Brawley that it fits their needs exceptionally well. And so that's what I'm going to propose to you folks today, the use of the Lucky Ranch housing. I guess I've called it the Lucky Ranch Abandoned Housing Project.
For a better term, yeah.
For a better term. But the property owners of that property, they're also very patriotic and very supportive of the Marines using that as a training site. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of take you through. This is a very simple brief. It doesn't get too military. There's a couple, maybe 1 or 2 slides that might get a little technical, but I'll go through it with you if you have any questions. And so we'll just get on. Here's the agenda. If you have any questions, please let me know, and we'll stop and I'll address anything. No questions there. We'll move on. Okay, this is what's called a CONOP, or concept of operation. This is truly the only real military slide. And since I'm getting older, my eyes aren't that good. I'm going to break out my paper copy I have in front of me here, so I can read the small print. But essentially what this shows is a timeline from the 6th of May through the 13th of May. That's going to be the Marines exercising in this area. When you see number 1 there, number 1 corresponds to where it's down at the bottom of the screen. It says HET development. HET stands for Human Intelligence Exploitation Team. These guys are essentially counterintelligence agents. And what they're going to be doing for maybe the 4 or 5 days prior to the actual the real fun stuff where the assault happens. They're essentially going to be in town. They're going to be in civilian clothes. They have longer hair. They're using rental cars. They don't have any military vehicles, and they don't have any weapons or anything like that. And essentially, they're practicing what's called surveillance detection routes. They're practicing throwing off other maybe a host nation's counterintelligence, following them. We're going to have some NCIS agents playing the role of counterintelligence agents, following them, so they'll have to shake us off. It's really going to be low profile, and there's not going to be a whole lot of. In fact, if someone recognizes the Marines, they've kind of failed their mission. They should be low profile, and I mean, there's no failing when you're training, but it'll be a learning experience for them if they do train, or if they do get discovered while they're training. Okay, so while that's going on, little things they discovered throughout the town. It's almost like put it in simpler terms, almost like a treasure hunt or like a scavenger hunt. They find little pieces of intelligence that are going to lead them to the Lucky Ranch housing development. Number 3 there, where you see those are the target sites. There's a row of houses there, and in one of the houses, the one that's in better shape, and from what I understand, the police department and ICE and other law enforcement agencies use most commonly for training. It's kind of been kept up a little better. It doesn't look like there's any recent active meth labs or anything like that. And that's going to be where essentially the bad guy is, and the bad guy and his fictitious terrorist cell are going to be in there. Where you see number 2, that is where a reconnaissance team is going to be, and they're going to insert covertly. They may be dropped. These are the Marine recon guys. These are the guys that are trained to move through urban areas, through jungle, through whatever type of environment covertly, and they set up shop in a house there on the 2nd story, and they're going to observe what's going on in that target house, and their job is to report everything that's going on. And then number 4 is a proposed or a possible landing zone extraction point. Right now, the MU commander has many options on how to insert his Marine raid force and how to extract them. Right now, the recommended way is going to be by vehicle, and essentially they're going to rent vehicles and they're going to insert by vehicle. And that's more realistic when you're dealing with an urban area and overseas and you're trying to go low profile, and it kind of fits their mission set a little bit better. But the MU commander, as the SOTG doesn't really dictate to him how to do his job. So he could say, yeah, put a chopper down there and get the guys on board and get them out. So that's a potential landing zone there. So that's essentially in the overall. The con up there, as you see, the possible LZs, and then I kind of made I didn't really know where the southern entrance to this housing area was, but if we could use one of the paved roads there, it'll probably be C Street, where we'll enter, drive up there. The Marines it's called a Maritime Raid Force. There'll be a force of about 40 Marines. They'll all have, the Marines call them SESMs. As my law enforcement experience, we call them simunitions. The police are probably familiar with simunitions. It's the exact same thing. They're simulated bullets, little plastic bullets filled with paste. They'll have their weapons armed with that. They'll do a raid on the target house. They do a little process called SSE, which is sensitive site exploitation. So they basically collect all this fictitious intelligence that'll be set up in there for them, laptops, thumb drives, cell phones. They have equipment to extract the intelligence off of there. They do that. They do it real quick. They maybe scoop up some bad guys. They flexi-cuff the role players, and they'll extract them out of there. The whole actions on objective for the raid is really, I'm going to say 2 hours, but it's probably going to be even shorter than that. It's a very quick. They don't want to stay on ground a long time, just like in the real world. If you can imagine, if the most high-profile one recently, and of course it's a unit that has far more capabilities, but the Osama bin Laden raid, where they went in, they cleared the whole building. I think they were on the ground for 45 minutes, and that's with SSE, and that's with taking a body and everything else. So we're looking at probably an hour for real time on the ground, but we put a 2-hour window in there just to make sure. Let's see if it works here.
Try the mouse. Try scrolling the mouse.
Oh, did it good? Oh, I went back. Oh, all right, there we go. Okay, the question was brought forward of what kind of aircraft are going to be in the area. Okay, so here's some aircraft that that the MU commander has options to use. The fixed-wing aircrafts you'll see there on the far left is the KC-130 Hercules, and then the top right is the Harrier jet. Those will be in the area, but no one's going to see them. They're going to be high altitude. The KC-130 will probably be flying like a circular profile off in the distance for refueling. It's just like standard, even though these helicopters aren't going to need to be refueled, it's like a standard thing they do. The other helicopters, the Cobra, they're in the middle on the top. The Seahawk, the CH-53 in the middle, and the Osprey, those on the far lower right, those are options that the MU commander has to leverage for this mission. The Cobra most certainly will be there because they'll be providing air cover, simulated air cover. That's as you can see, that's a gunship. That's provides security for the Marines on the ground. They don't have blanks or anything like that. They just basically say on the radio, "Hey, we're engaging," and simulated. It's called simulated close air support. There's no big booms. There's no fake missile firings or anything like that. It's just kind of all done notionally through a radio. The two aircraft on the lower left, the Seahawk and the CH-53, those are transport aircraft. And like I mentioned, the MU commander has his option to use, as is the Osprey. It'll be used as a transport aircraft. Those are pretty neat. I tell you, I flew on those when I was in Afghanistan with the Marines, and it's like flying on a G.I. Joe toy when I was a kid. They're amazing aircraft. And they fit a whole bunch of Marines in the back, and they can come out and they take off like a helicopter and fly like an airplane. So those are just some of the aircraft options. So the citizens in that neighborhood might see some low-flying helicopters, and I'll get to that in a moment. This thing doesn't want to work. Here we go. Okay, so here's the media, VIP, and logistics considerations. So with the citizens, if we have any media or citizen inquiries, we have a public affairs officer, a PAO, with the Marine Corps, and their job is to do a press release. They've already have it drawn up. It'll probably put out about 2 weeks prior. They'll contact the media outlets here with the city. They have myself and I have some MPs that are my assistants, and we're actually going to do a pamphlet drop. So we have pamphlets made up. I have samples of the verbiage in the following slides, but essentially we're going to print pamphlets out in English and Spanish and get it to the neighborhoods that are, if I go back a slide, I don't have a laser pointer, I apologize, but those ones to the west of Best Street. I drove those neighborhoods, and there's a fair amount of houses, so I'm just going to put them in the mailboxes, and the ones who would be in earshot pretty much of the operation. And then also the businesses to the northwest there, I'll let them know as well. There's some like a construction company, a rental place up there. So
Industrial parks.
It's an industrial park.
Industrial
Right?
park is right there.
Yeah. So we'll take some time, pass some leaflets out. The leaflets will have the PAO's number on them, and it should satisfy the needs of any citizen inquiries. What we're trying to do is reduce any calls to the police department. We don't want to overload the chief with 911 calls, but oh my God, black helicopters are coming to, kidnap citizens or whatever the conspiracy theorists might come up with. But that coordination with SGPD, it's SG. I'm sorry, I didn't change the slide. Brawley PD, my bad. That was for St. George, Utah. My error. I've been out on sea for the last 2 weeks. Come on. So we coordinate with the police department and try to reduce those calls. VIP visits right now, as far as non-DOD, by non-DOD I mean like senators, congressmen, governors, aides, things like that. We don't have any schedule for the Brawley piece. There might be a DOD VIP, but that's on us. It'll be a general, and the generals know the deal. And the Marines know how to handle the general. Civilian VIPs, are a little different. Now, you folks are VIPs too, so it's your city. If you want to come out and watch, just Ms. Moore has my contact information. Just get with me, and that'll make it too easy. When I say VIPs, don't think I didn't include you guys. I'm talking about the state congressional level who like to make these kind of pop-in visits to these things because it's neat and want to see the aircraft fly around. So if we need to, I assist the PAO, and the police could assist with any security if we need to. But we don't have any requests right now. Logistics should be pretty simple. We're going to have a dumpster and some porta-johns on site. They've hired a local company. I can't tell you which one because I'm not the contracting person, but there's a local company that was hired to drop porta-johns and a dumpster out there. There will be a team that will go clean some houses up, just get rid of some of the glass for safety for the Marines prior to the exercise. So they'll put all that in the dumpster, and that will be removed, delivered on the 10th, removed on the 14th. And Ms. Moore, I think if I can get with the Public Works Director, they might facilitate moving the barriers so we can get those dropped off. That'd be great. We're just going to put them right. Let me go back. That row of houses, I think it's it's River Drive on the west of River Drive there. We're just going to put them right there, right just past the barrier. So that's where the role players will be. So those will be the people using the porta johns the most, and that's where most of the cleaning will take place. So they could throw all the trash and whatever in the dumpster. And then safety and security considerations. Some of the safety, the Marines, as all military operations, are very safety conscious. You know, a casualty or injury is kind of a mild injury is kind of to be expected with this type of training, but a serious injury is a no-go. They want to prevent that at all costs. So on site, there's going to be one dedicated safety vehicle. They're going to have fire extinguishers, and actually, they say fire extinguishers, but there's actually they have this kit. It's actually more advanced than just a fire extinguisher. It's like a fire suppression kit with fire extinguishers as well. There'll be a dedicated range safety officer and a safety officer in charge. So one will be like a gunnery sergeant or staff sergeant, one will be a lieutenant or a captain, and they're on site all the time. There's a Navy corpsman, which means a paramedic. They're qualified paramedics on site at all time. And then there's a corpsman who's assigned to the unit I work for that runs the training, and that corpsman comes up with what's called a medical plan. And the medical plan is a coordination between all local hospitals, all local aerial medical evacuation companies, and local fire departments. So his medical plan should be finished up. I haven't touched base with him since I got back from Ventura, but he should be getting finished up. And what happens with the medical plan? It gets posted in the ops center, and it gets briefed and like a smart card handed out to all participants. So everybody knows, hey, if something goes wrong, here's your steps. It's a very simple military checklist, like, you know, call this or call 911 or you know, expect this to happen. We're going to whatever trauma center. We're going to have this company come in and extract. So they have it all worked out. And then for security, we have our own signage that we're going to put on the barriers on like River, and I think it's B, C, and A, the different streets where you guys have your city barriers up. And so the sign's essentially going to say, hey, this is, you know, official military training going on, please keep out. So it'll be like on C, A, and River Road. And then any other places where when we walk the site, where we see people of, you know, any foot trails or any access where people have been making access, we'll put signs there. Coordinated with the Brawley Police Department, and then the Imperial County Sheriff's Department, CHP, and FBI. All the local offices there know what's going on. The USMC instructors and or site controllers, whatever you want to call them, they're on site 24 hours during this training iteration as well. And then myself and USMC instructors will walk through the area and clear every building at least twice a day, and then right before the raid occurs. So we make sure no transients are in the buildings, there's no looky-loos in the buildings, everything's safe. That is the safety plan. Any questions on there, folks, on these two? Because I know these are two big pieces. Moving on, this is just a sample of the pamphlet verbiage that will pass out. It essentially says there's going to be military training occurring during these dates. What they may see low-flying aircraft, they may see people moving about in the housing area. The city of Brawley is aware, local law enforcement's aware, the private property owners granted us permission to use this property. So please, you know, stay off Lucky Ranch during this training. And if you have any questions, you can call the Public Affairs Office. I didn't have their direct numbers, but it'll be on there. And we're going to do that in Spanish as well. And those are what's going to go out to the local neighborhoods there. And then just a sample of a sign that's going to be in front of the access points. Pretty easy. And it'll be in Spanish as well below. And ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have. So if there's any questions.
Anybody have any questions? Anybody
No,
from
it's-
the council?
As always, we're glad to have you guys here. So
you.
welcome to our city.
Thank you
and
very much. It's been
you
very
guys-
accommodating.
Welcome to Brawley.
Well, we're very excited to be here, and like I said, the police department has been wonderful, and Ms. Moore has been awesome. It's been a pleasure to deal with Brawley. So we're looking forward to the training.
We look forward to it. As you know, we're very patriotic here in
I know, I
Brawley,
saw that. It's
and
great.
we're always on the edge in terms of that, in terms of allowing the armed
Absolutely.
services to use our city, and I think we've even been written up in newspapers about it. So I don't think you'll have any problem.
Excellent.
There may be a little disruption in those neighborhoods with a little bit of noise, but they'll get over it very quickly. So I think that'll be fine.
Mayor Ketchman, Mr. Pugh has agreed to do a presentation to the Brawley Airport Commission that'll occur tomorrow. We thought it would be appropriate given the proximity of the airport and the interest in just aviation in general. So that will be taking place tomorrow, and we certainly appreciate him and staff making another trip out to Brawley to do that.
All right, that'll be great. That would be great, yeah, to talk to the Airport Commission, because it will have a little bit of impact on their activities. and I think they'll have to keep an eye on that.
Which I'll probably see you again, but that was a very thorough brief.
Okay.
So appreciate that, and absolutely I'll be participating tomorrow. But also I'm in the aviation industry, so your aircraft, I like that. That was the best slide. But.
Great, yeah. Well, you got to throw up a cool picture.
That's right.
Mr. Pugh, thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, we have Marjo, I think, from the library would like to make a public presentation.
I'm changing hats. I'm wearing my Friends of the Library hat because on August. April.
Sam thought it was 2008. So
Well, this doesn't have a
Well,
date.
and my flyer doesn't have the date either, so,
That's a safe
it's a good day. Yesterday was tax day. That kind of excuses
that.
things
Right.
for 2 or 3 days, right?
That's right.
Got it.
For months, actually.
Oh, good, okay. But on April 27th, which is the same day as Take Back Main Street, the library in the morning between 9 and noon is going to have multiple activities going on. We're looking forward to a book sale, and Dixie Smith is our Friends of the Library president, and she has been overwhelmed with really good books. She says, I don't think people read some of these. They don't look opened. So we have lots and lots of really good books, all kinds of things too. Mysteries, let's see, regular general fiction, nonfiction, and even some kids' books have been donated. So we've got a nice variety for the book sale. At the same time, we're going to have an information table on our adult literacy services that are offered throughout the county. And we actually have Connie Barrington, the county librarian, and some staff from the Imperial Library will be there to talk about how somebody can improve their English language reading, writing, math, and even learn some basic computer skills. Because I know here in Brawley we've had a lot of success with teaching people keyboarding, and they get all excited because graduation at the end is putting a cover over the keyboard and actually typing without seeing the letters, which is impressive to me anyway. So also we always need tutors, because we do offer one-on-one tutoring to people. So also, if somebody has a couple hours a week, they can learn how to sign up and help us out with that also. We're also going to have 4 local authors. We're excited. We did this last fall, which is probably why I was thinking October, because that was the last time we did that. So we have Danny Grummett, who has written a children's book, and he's a Brawleyite. Jack Kirby from El Centro, who's written So You Want to Be a Cowboy, which is a memoir from he and his family. Nan Rebick, who is well known for music, but also has written a series of books about a mouse family that are adorable. Of course, like kids' books, but they're still adorable. And Mary Rincon, who writes children's books, but also writes spiritual type books. And she will be here too. We also have a local association with a long name, Desert Valley Library Media Association. It's a group of library supporters, and they'll have information there about how to join their group and also the kinds of activities that they do. We will, the public libraries in the summer collectively try to have some really good entertainment come from elsewhere, and they help contribute to that. And we do a lot of collaborating and collective work. So those are the big items on April 27th, which will be added to the flyer after tomorrow morning, I guess, when I get back to work. And 9 to noon. And then we're also inviting people to hang around for the hamburger cook-off and Lucha Libre, which I looked up on Wikipedia because I needed to see if it was capitalized or whatever, and I'm like, this looks like fun, because I don't think I've ever seen it live, just in the movies. So it should be a really great day, the whole day. So thank you as a friend of the library.
Thank you.
Thank you, Marjo.
Okay. Very good. Thanks, Marjo. Okay. I kind of glossed over public presentation, public appearances, so if there's anybody else in the audience that needs to step up to make a public appearance, I'll open it back up for that briefly. If not, then I will move along. Okay, thank you. Item number 4, consent agenda. Items are approved in one motion, and we could request that they be pulled. If anybody member from the public may request a consent item be pulled, or any member of the council can request that. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I make a motion to approve, but I did want to ask for information on item 4G, just additional information. I've read through the backup just for public record so people know what's.
Do you want to pull that?
Not pulled necessarily. I just wanted just to get the information out in the public.
Okay.
We can get an update on that.
Sure. So the city of Brawley was a recipient of a state grant to renovate Alice Giroux Park in northeast Brawley. And we're at the stage in the project where we have done a call for qualifications of teams of engineers and landscape architects to bid on the job based on their qualifications, not on price. So we had quite a bit of response, which you'll find on page 65. I'm sorry, let me just look real quick to get the total number of firms. We had 9 firms participate in submitting bids, and what the Public Works Department is asking for in connection with this action item is the authority to move forward with negotiations for the fee. So what they did was rank the firms, and the panel that participated on the city's end was comprised of multiple departments and community residents. They selected and ranked these firms. The top 3 have been provided. They're on page 2 of the report. Kimley Horn, Albert Webb, and David Evans and Associates. What we're asking for is your permission to proceed with negotiating a fee with the number 1 firm. If we don't arrive at a reasonable place from the point of view of a fee and the funds available, then we would move on to the next participating or interested consulting team.
Thank you for that. And I did make a motion to approve the consent. I just wanted that information.
Just wanted some information.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Okay, any further discussion? No? If not, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, moving on to regular business. First item, or only item on regular business is discussion and action regarding the California Joint Powers Insurance Authority retrospective payment plan. That's page 67 through 74.
Honorable Mayor, council members, Shirley Benitez, Personnel and Risk Management Administrator. The California Joint Powers provides general liability insurance for the city of Brawley. They have moved from a retrospective model for funding to a prospective model for funding. And while they were doing that, during the past 3 years, they've held those retrospective deposits in advance. That total has now come due July 1st, and the total is $607,017.
Okay.
We've had 4 sizable claims that has transpired in those 3 years that has caused this large sum of money. There's numerous payment plan options for the city. The city is required to choose a plan by April 30th. The recommended plan is the 6-year plan. It does include a 2.095% interest rate. It is the plan that you saw included in the budget yesterday. It's due and payable of a little bit over $86,000 on July 1st. And then there's approximately $90,000 worth of payments for the next additional 5 years. So we are seeking council's approval on the resolution.
Okay, and I think your resolution's page 75, so if you want to look that over.
If I might offer one additional item, and that is that we've been informed by JPIA as of the preparation of the report that the interest rate is estimated to be 2.095%. So we don't actually have a guarantee of that interest rate until a future date.
And the future date's April 30th. But we also have to choose by April 30th our payment plans. So they don't, when I was speaking to our regional manager, he doesn't think that interest rate would increase by much, if anything.
And once you begin payment, I'm sorry, but once you begin payment, then you are locked in.
You're locked
that
in
plan.
whatever that rate is as of April 30th. That's correct.
Can I ask one more question? I just looking through the material. Is there any clause in there for once that plan is begun or committed to? Are there alternatives once that begins, knowing that it is 6 years, it is long term, but should we decide to accelerate that payment or deviate from what was agreed? Are there provisions for that?
Prepayment penalties
Prepayment,
is
that type of
not
stuff.
noted anywhere in their materials. They would like the money as soon as possible.
Understood.
It is claims held in abeyance, and there'd be money that they would, I'm sure, I can look into that to confirm.
Okay. Any other questions from council members? No, not at this point in time. Okay, I would entertain a motion for adoption of the resolution.
I make a motion to adopt the resolution.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Okay, if not,
Just to confirm, though, we're moving ahead with the 6 year.
that would be the
option is
resolution,
our-
I think, is the
understood.
6-year
Okay.
option, yes.
Confirm.
Okay. All those, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Okay. So that's item 5. Okay, and then moving to the next agenda item is departmental reports. And the first item is 6A, which is an update on the Rancho Porter annexation and tax sharing agreement by Gordon Gast, Planning Director. Gordon?
Good evening, Mayor Couchman, council members, Gordon Gase, Planning Director. This is an update on what we've discussed before on the two issues pending on the Rancho Porter annexation specific plan project. Start with the tax sharing agreement. Right now, I believe it's been reviewed by the city and it's being reviewed by county staff one last time before we can bring it back to you formally for approval, and then the county board will approve it thereafter. That's the status of that. It includes the payment of the impact fees on there with different types of options. One being they pay it all up front. If they don't, it has the potential in the future when they do pay it after building would begin or final map recordation begins, that it would be at the new rate if they so choose to up the rate in the time in between now and then.
That's on the tax sharing agreement with the
Yes,
county?
that's on the tax sharing. And those are we're just kind of the pass-through agency on that. It wouldn't cost us anything. It goes through the developer through the time when we get our building permits and we send it off to them. Or, like I said, it can be prepaid at the current rate for the anticipated number of units and commercial square footage such. Okay. The annexation fee portion is, staff's recommendation was always that they just pay up front, get it out of the way. That's the way the ordinance reads. However, we were directed to look for options, which we are going to present to you. And we already have some drafts of potential for that option of deferring those annexation fees. Like I said, one option still is they can be all paid up front, or they can be paid at a change of ownership. Obviously, that would make things confusing, so we would want to change if there's ever a change of ownership, if they sell off any of those parcels to a developer, or also if they retain ownership, if the first permits are issued on the property, it will be due in its entirety at that time. And that does include I believe, an accumulation of interest per our investments.
Which is less than 1%.
Yeah, which is less than 1% over the time of how many ever months or years or however long it takes.
So how much is it exactly?
It's the way it's referenced in the documents is according to the interest rate charged by LAIF. So in other words, if we had the fees in our possession, they'd be sitting in our LAIF account. our local agency investment fund, which
Okay.
doesn't generate a lot of interest. It's well below 1%.
Well below. Okay.
And if I might kind of turn the council's attention to the promissory note that's included in the package, page 81. I think there's one particular paragraph that you might be interested in, and that specifically pertains to, turned you to the wrong page, I apologize. Oh, no, it's correct. 81. Principal and interest shall be paid in full prior to issuance of any building permit for the property, any change of ownership of the property, or issuance of a building permit for any property contained in the Rancho Porter Plan area, whichever event shall first occur. Staff did have an opportunity to discuss this in great detail over the last 2 weeks. Staff meetings, and I want to be sure that I share with you, it is our city attorney's recommendation that we build in an additional paragraph into the agreement that references the escalation of county impact fees in the event that they delay the payment of the county impact fees, because we don't reference it in our own documents. And since we're the collector of those fees, we want to be sure that we're clearly articulating and signaling to the owners of the property that those fees in place at the time will be due and payable.
Okay.
So it's a deed of trust with a promissory note attached.
Right, because I believe in the county, or in the tax agreement, it does reference I think it's on page 95, where it references that if the fee goes up, then those fees are the ones that are due. And I think what the city manager is trying to say is that we just make sure that that cost is then passed on to the owner in the agreement, so that we're not stuck with that at a later
Right.
date.
Okay.
It is our intention to have documents ready for the next regularly scheduled council meeting.
Okay.
It would be our hope, if you want to have any major change in direction, that we receive feedback from you, so that we can proceed with the preparation of documents relative to an action item.
Okay. Gordon, you have any? I would just like to ensure that we do receive feedback from the property owners too on the agreements. And so if we can get those to them with those additions that you just mentioned, send that out to them and let them give us some feedback too, because they may have some comments. I think that there may only be one area where I think that they do have some concerns. And so I'd just like to give them an opportunity to come forward. They'll be there probably at the meeting that this is going to be decided on. And I think that they should be allowed maybe in advance to look at this, and so that they have any comments they can.
This is public information now that it's been distributed as a part of the agenda. I was not inclined to enter into negotiations with the property owner until I had clear direction from the council as to how you wish to structure
Right, I understand that.
the agreement.
But I think giving them the draft is fine. My only concern with this, and I really, in looking at it, I had one, and that was that you're really requesting that if any development occurs, there's three, or at least my understanding is there's three distinct property owners, at least. There may be more. There may be more. And basically what this agreement is asking for is that as soon as development occurs in one of the owners, then everybody has to pay. And I think that's their concern with the deferral to begin with, is that they don't generate any money. So to have them all pay when they don't generate any money it has an impact on the deferral, I believe, in the long run, because if one person develops but the other one doesn't, they've still got to pay. Everybody's got to pay their fees, and I think some of them are ready to do that. But I think the ones that may want the deferral, or that may have the largest share of the property, they're going to have to come up with that money right up front. So they may have some concerns with that section of this agreement, and I think that would probably be the section that they would have the most objection to.
What we attempted to do was strike a balance with allowing the annexation to go forward and not having to pay the fees at the normal time of processing.
Right.
For a future date that's driven by actual development of the property. If it's the council's consensus that you want to see something different from the timing, it would be important to provide that feedback tonight, or if you don't, if you want to raise it at the next council meeting, just know that we'll need the city attorney to continue to work with staff to untangle so that the final document, when you do adopt it, has the final language in it that's legally protects the city.
I think that was the direction we wanted to take initially, so I understand what you're saying, Sam, but.
You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I think
But the fees are already being deferred. And so our discussion previously had been that when development took place or it changed ownership, that we would collect those.
Understanding that, except that 5 or 6 or whatever many people own this property, these different sections of that property, it's part of the annexation because it's all one development. But the reality is the deferral of the fees was to give them an opportunity to wait till development occurred. If only one of them receives the development and say it's the smallest parcel, then the other ones have to come up with the funding. And I think that they can argue this issue with us, but I think that's the key there, and I think we defeat the purpose of the deferral if we do it in that
The way I view it, it's one development. What their agreement is between them is their agreement between them.
Understand that it's one development. However, I think because we were looking at the deferral, it might be 5 years before some of that property is developed. And my concern there is that if we allow the deferral, which is what we're talking about, it doesn't do them much good if it's developed in the next 6 months on one section and they have to come up with that. I don't think that was their intent in this request. But I mean, I'm not going to speak for them at this point.
Right. I think it sounds like we'll address that. I do want to comment 2 things that I think. First off, I'm appreciative. This is progressed. It's moved where we're at, and I'm sure all parties involved will appreciate that part of it. Thank you, Gordon and staff. But I think it's also important that it can become likely a very complex issue on our end as well. I wish there was an easy solution that makes all scenarios satisfied, but it seems to me this is a pretty reasonable compromise in kind of aiming toward the middle. I do understand that part of it, but it's important also to understand that there may not, in that 5-year, or we can project any number of scenarios in time, that I think there is some onus on this party also to agree amongst themselves as a total development. So it's not necessarily our position, I think, to go and negotiate that for them. In the interest of the city, I think this really strikes the compromise. I'm happy to see the direction it's going.
I'm happy to see it's progressing, certainly, and I think that's important. But I think I would like to give them a chance to respond to that also.
No, I'm fine. We talked about the deferral, and I stand with that.
We've been waiting so long on this, and I think it's time to go forward.
Okay.
And again, with all due respect to the parties involved, I'm pretty sure, we're honest enough to have one representative of all and
Okay.
let's go forward.
But I think this will be agendized for the next meeting, and we'll have those changes and then get that to them as soon as possible.
So the only changes that
The additional language.
That you.
referencing the county
Yeah,
items, so we're nice and tight on the
Reference
language, yes.
county. And you might also want to ensure that they receive the amount of whatever we project the percentage would be in interest. Okay, just so they're aware of it.
We don't know what the term is, though.
Understanding that,
Yeah.
and I mean, I don't know.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I think, remember, go ahead, come on.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, members of the council, and staff. George Garcia, Development Design Engineering, 1065 State Street, El Centro. I was asked to speak on behalf of the property owners. They had not had a chance to review the agreement until I provided it for them after downloading it from the city website. They have some concerns, some of which have been alluded to. One being the timing. There's also references made to parcels that really are not part of the annexation. Anyway, there are minor adjustments that need to be made, and they respectfully request to have an opportunity to make their concerns known to city staff so that at the time that the final draft is made, it's to everybody's approval. At this point, they obviously have no issue with the tax sharing agreement, and they will have no issue with paying whatever the current rates are for the development impact fees for the county. That's not a concern. They do have, again, some concerns about the wording of the agreement itself. One of them being that, as was mentioned, that as soon as one parcel moves forward, then the entire annexation fees are due. If that was the intent, then probably there should have been only one agreement that everybody signs, but the way two agreements have been presented, it implies that perhaps there's a possibility that if a development happens for each owner group, then the fees are due for that particular owner group, since they obviously own different parcels, and the parcels would be held from each different owner. So the Porter family would have their agreement on their property that they own, and it was hoped that the minute that they were able to have a buyer, a purchaser that is willing to develop the project as approved, then the fees for that property would be due. And the property for the Denny Group, which represents the largest property owner group, would still continue under the agreement until one of their parcels was sold. And I think that's sort of what they were expecting. They would like to see possibly another option to the promissory note. The county does have a procedure for accepting property as security for improvements that they've entered into. I did bring a copy for staff to review. I did not bring a copy for council to review. It takes time to go through it, and today's not the right time. So I think the consensus is that they request that no action be taken the next council meeting on the deferment agreement itself until all parties, city and the property owners, have had a chance to dialogue a little bit. And that is their request.
So I guess looking at what kind of delay are we looking at? How long would you like in terms to do that? Because our next meeting is not till May the 7th, correct?
Right,
We have
right.
till May the 7th. Do you prefer that it go on May the 21st?
You know, that would probably be best answered by the property owners. At this point, it's probably more appropriate for them to contact a city manager and try to arrange a date that would be appropriate. And, you know,
Until a future date, I'd be happy to work with the property owner group. That's fine, and we'll schedule based on their readiness to move forward.
That's fine. What I would request from the property owners, though, and on behalf, I think, of the city manager and myself as a council member here, is something in writing from you, very
Absolutely.
specific
Absolutely.
to your concerns. That doesn't mean we're going to change it.
Yeah.
It just, or you know, we may discuss it, but we may not. But if we get it in writing, usually that's the best way for us to go.
No,
as soon as soon as it's possible to do that.
I agree, and they just did not have sufficient time to prepare those written comments on the agreements.
No problem. I think from my side, I mean, I don't know.
We would appreciate that. It takes considerable staff time and our attorney's time.
Yes.
And we're certainly working in trying to get this resolved as soon as possible. I know that there's obviously some interest on your behalf and the parties that you represent to get this resolved sooner, but we would appreciate this resolved sooner than later.
Yes.
So it is taking considerable
Agreed.
staff time.
And property owners are appreciative, and we thank them for the time that they've spent, the efforts. It's not an easy one, but they just want to make sure that an agreement is an agreement between all parties.
All right, so we'll look forward to hearing from you or seeing something
Within the
in
next
writing.
couple of days, yes.
And you'll be dialoguing with our
Yes,
city manager.
yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, now then. Okay. 6B, update regarding remediation activities at the Brawley Transit Transfer Station.
Our Public Works Director will be presenting on that.
Thank you. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council Members. Yasmin Arellano, Public Works Director. Tonight, I would like to give you an update on the remediation for that property. The water table samples from the three sites from Tank 1, Tank 2, and Tank 3 came back negative, so we don't have to do additional remediation on the water table. No contamination was found at 15 feet below tank 1 and tank 2, but contamination was found at 6 feet below tank 3. I don't know if you had an opportunity to drive by the site, either late afternoon yesterday or today, but we gave approval to proceed with the over-excavation activities under tank 3, which consisted of an area of 20 foot wide by 20 foot long and 15 feet deep. And that was done already. It was completed. The sample was taken at 15 feet depth and was driven to Ontario this morning, and for a 24-hour lab. We're supposed to get results tomorrow morning. We also were given authorization to backfill and compact the excavation under tank 1 and 2, and hopefully, crossing our fingers, if everything comes out negative under tank 3, they're going to give us authorization to backfill and compact tomorrow.
Do you want to make council aware that, we have experienced some delays on the part of our contractor at the site? So we're anticipating there may be some communication from Hazard Construction regarding the cost of delays, and it'll be coming forward to you should that occur.
Okay.
Correct.
How
We're on 3 weeks. Correct. So have you had any, I'm sorry, I haven't had the opportunity to talk with our Public Works Director on this topic today. Do you have any additional information to offer on that?
They initially contacted us, however, we haven't negotiated those fees yet. They gave us some prices, but staff doesn't agree with them, so we still have to negotiate with them.
When are we going to know about the test results?
Tomorrow morning, sir.
Tomorrow morning?
Yes.
I'd be happy to send out an update to the council.
Give us an update.
and delays primarily due to the tank?
So they had to demobilize
Right.
on site, so.
Is there language in the contract that addresses that, or is it generally not?
Well, if there is a
there
stop
are-
outside of their control, it's on our dime. I guess that's the.
Is the sky the limit on what they can come up with, or it sounded like it's a negotiable?
No, it's a negotiated fee, and I'm sure they're willing to be reasonable. They're working on a number of city projects currently, so.
What is the dollar figure that you're not agreeing with?
$6,000 so far. So we didn't get the justification backing up the $6,000.
It was just a figure they threw out there. Yeah.
Correct.
That's good. Okay, so we'll move forward.
See if anybody would bite. Yeah, right.
See if we'd say yes. Okay. All right, well, that's good.
Let
Okay.
the bite. We'll see. If they don't come back with 9,000.
Any other questions for Yasmin?
That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Yasmin, you're free to go.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Number 7 on the agenda, informational items. A correspondence with Time Warner Cable regarding governmental access and public access programming.
So both of these items are simply included in the backup for your review and edification. We don't have any specific presentation on them. It's just to keep you advised of current events.
Okay. Anybody have any questions on either one of these items, either the correspondence with Time Warner Cable or the record of building permits of March 2013? I hope that's the right date. Okay, everything looks okay. Nobody has any questions? Okay, those are informational. Okay, then we'll move right along to city council reports. And Mr. Wharton?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Was able to attend the visitation from Congressmember Juan Vargas, and I was very appreciative of our chamber to help host that and put that together. I think as important an opportunity for us to also hear from our business community, in particular a lot of our Main Street businesses. Thought it was very interesting. A lot of the issues that came up happened to be state, even local issues, but I think the Congress member did a great job, I think, of addressing those. As it went into some more federal issues, I think it got a little bit warmer in the room, but again, very appreciative. I did take a tour of some of the progress going on at the Brawley Theater, the old Brawley Theater, and I don't know if I chose the wrong or right date, but I would recommend a dust mask, at least the day that I went in. But it is absolutely incredible the amount of work that's already been done to that structure and to that building. So it's pretty exciting, and I do recommend anyone, if you do get the chance through the Brawley Community Foundation, to do that. Was in attendance at the collab breakfast, which I thought was very actually eye-opening and very I thought a well-presented program, considering all that CoLab obviously represents, in particular from our some of our district directors. So again, definitely enjoyed that, and was happy that was hosted again at Stockman's Club here in Brawley. BUHS Civics Learning Award of Distinction. I can't say enough about this, but just a couple days ago was able to attend, and I can honestly say that it was one of the prouder moments of actually being a BUHS outside of honoring, I think, a lot of times our own children, to be there and see what these kids have achieved. Also, Mr. Flores, the instructor and teacher for that department, it's actually eye-opening and very inspiring. So again, I was very fortunate that I did happen to attend that along with several of our regional public officials there. As you'll probably hear, were well attended. Outside of that, the Taking Back Main Street, I know maybe George will mention some things there, but we've been hard at work at that, and it's been a great opportunity to be able to go up and down our town and really just engage citizens in our businesses as we're out promoting that for the committee. I do want to thank staff, department, in particular finance and our city manager, as we did cover our budget workshop yesterday. I know there are many difficult decisions being made, but again, we cannot, I guess, underestimate the amount of work that goes into helping to facilitate those of us here that are representing the city to help make those decisions. So again, I do commend all staff that was involved in that. And finally, my personal appreciation to the men and women in uniform in our own city that have obviously been helping us through some very difficult and challenging set of events. I unfortunately did miss the week last week when we did come together as a council. I commend my fellow council members for making that happen and certainly making the right decision. So I hope we come to resolution quick. But again, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Nahara?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it brief. Met with the Film Commission, and there's been several productions. The Film Commission's hosting about 4.5 productions per month in the county of Imperial currently. Over the past several months, the estimated economic impact is nearly $900,000, and a lot of the filming happens around the Brawley area, so a lot of facilities are used here for the crews that come through here, and it's all over the map now. We've had a lot of exposure with the Film Commission because now it's part of the Sundance Film Festival program, and so there's been a lot of focus. And then the fact that our Film Commission Executive Director has participated in many scouting opportunities, so she's getting the name out there, the locations out there, and so they're visiting our area a lot more frequently. And this is like national magazines, national commercials, movies, and reality shows. Everything is coming out here. So a lot of activity in that regard. So that's been very positive for not only the city, but the county as well. So it's been good. Taking Back Main Street's been a real pleasure. It's been a lot of work. I want to thank Mr. Wharton, our council member here publicly. He's been a tremendous help, and the rest of the committee has been tremendous in helping get this event moving forward, as well as council and their support. Would also like to thank staff for helping out with the event. It's going to be a great one. We're excited about it. We haven't had anything in the city of Brawley with respect to events like this in a long time, and it's really just a labor of love for us, but it's not possible without the sponsors, without staff, without the volunteers, the committee coming together, and there's no one really responsible for it. It's just all of us doing it together, to include the staff members. So thank you all very much for that. Also would like to thank staff for all of the work, not just that you always do, but especially over the past several weeks. I know it's been very trying, not just for the fire department and the police department, but for everybody, Public Works and Parks and Rec, and even our risk management office here, and everyone else, building, and everyone else that's obviously involved in all the fires and all the other issues going on, whether it's a homicide and everything else. So just want to thank you all for your help, your support. I know it's been a tough past several months, but we're going to keep on moving forward, and hopefully in the next few months we see things improving, not just in downtown but throughout the city. So again, thank you, and just want to see you out there enjoying April 27th. Hopefully we can catch your faces out there. It's going to be a beautiful event. I think we're all going to have a good time. So thank you again.
Thank you. Just a couple things. I also attended the collab breakfast, and that was very interesting of some of the elected officials and some of the things that they spoke on with some of the challenges throughout the cities and counties. All of us have our work cut out. I mean, there's a lot of things going on right now, and just wishing for the best. And speaking of that Civic Learning Award that the students from the high school was given the other day was awesome. I remember when the students came here and after the meeting they was asking us questions and stuff, and I recognized them there. But just, doing some research and some of the displays and getting some of the information, not realizing there's 1,500 high schools in California and 1.8 million students. And not all of the schools participated, I think, in this contest, if I can call it that. But out of all those schools, there was only 22 awards given. So that's how tough that was. And for those kids to earn that was really, really a great thing, and to see the folks that participated. But they did a good job, and it was good to see them here. And they did have a booth and a plaque of the city of Brawley and council there. I took some pictures. I'm like, guys, I didn't know you guys were going to do that, but it was nice. And
We look skinnier.
yeah. And I echo those same sentiments that George talked about with our staff and what's going on in our city. And, the only thing I know, guys, is to pray about certain things that we don't have an understanding about, to ask our Father to help us with some of these things, because sometimes it's just out of our control, and people for some reason do strange things. And it is what it is. And He has a plan, and we know He does. So I ask God to continue to watch over us and watch over our staff and continue to take care of us. And thank you guys for all the help. Thank you.
Thank you. I also have a few. I had the honor to accompany Senator Wessel on Saturday at the Del Valle Car Club, the first annual, raising funds for most of the proceeds were for the Between Women cancer, and it was nice. They received a certificate of recognition and all their efforts they've been doing to provide better services and eliminate that stereotype and helping the community. Along with Mr. Warren, Mr. Campbell, and our Mayor Couchman, I was there at the Brawley High School on the Civic Learning Award recognition for both U.S. and history students, and it was very nice. And Eric Reyes was going to be here tonight and asked me to let the council know that we have a table for this coming up event on Saturday for all of us who wants to participate. Well, I guess all of you, I'll be there. And if not, my seat could be given to maybe some staff. It's going to be in the VIP section. It's free to the public at the grandstand, but sponsors and VIP will be right in the front. You get to go backstage and meet the individuals or members of the bands, and Midnighters, Slide, Slick and Wicked, and Rocket Padilla. That's 6 o'clock Saturday at the Catacall Arena.
Staff is saying, who is that? Who the heck is that? These are young guys, man.
Hey, 70s groups.
Yeah? 70s groups. Hey, we're going to be selling sodas and water.
Yes. Pop Warner's going to be there.
Pop Warner's going to be there.
Donating.
Anything else?
That's all I have to report.
We'll be selling sodas and water if you guys want to come have a drink.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I recommend it. Well, I also attended the meeting at the Chamber of Commerce. It's interesting to get a perspective on businesses' interpretation of what goes on at the state level, and their interpretation of what goes on at the federal level and the regulations that they have to deal with. I think it's important that we have a Brawley businessman, Robert Rodriguez, who arranges for that. And I thought it was really neat to be there and just listen to the discussion. And it was kind of interesting to listen to what Congressman Vargas had to say. It was a very interesting deal. But that was a good meeting. I also went to a ribbon cutting for Mary Kay Clockman. She's a PA or doctor's assistant at the Imperial Valley Care over one block over from Main Street. And I thought that was a nice ribbon cutting ceremony, and they had some very interesting food there at that event. And I just kind of wanted to comment on that because they had a lot of sushi and they had a lot of different things, and we usually don't see that at Chamber Mixers. So it was very, very interesting, and the event was pretty well attended, I thought. We also had Little League to go to, but I did that too. I also went to the CoLab breakfast, kind of impressed. The IID, certainly the IID chair gave an interesting talk and made some interesting points, I thought, about staff and other things. And then the county, Ray Castillo did the speech for the county, and he gave some interesting comments too about the county, but IID's was much more interesting. But enough on that. But I was pleased to see that we were well represented there, and I think that's important for the city to be represented at those types of events. I also attended the Brawley Union High School Civics Award of Distinction. I think it's important to note that when you have students that do that well and do receive awards, I think it's imperative that everybody be recognized for that. I think it's the entire school. It's the administration, it's the students' parents, it's the students, it's the instructors, and it's all the other people that deal with students in their daily lives. And I think it's important that they come in and see us in our council meetings, because I don't think enough of the public does. And so I think that's vitally important. I also think that hands-on education is sometimes more important than what they learn in the books. They need the book learning, but they also need the hands-on thing, and I think that's helpful to be hands-on. They're more interested in it. It's more fascinating for them, and I think they learn better that way. So I thought that was very important. I was pleased to be invited to speak at that event by Brawley Union High School, and so that was very important. And we were well represented there also from the council, and I appreciate that on behalf of the council members, everyone being there. I also did this weekend the 5K run walk that the fire department put together, or the fire department association put together, firefighter association put together. Very nice event. Probably 200 people there. Over 200 people, I think, signed up. I think Atul was like number 210 or something like that from Brawley Inn, and so there was a lot of people there. It was a well done event. I want to thank the fire department for all the assistance they gave me. You know, I think they watched me closer than anybody else there. And what the comments that people make is that some people didn't realize I was the mayor until they saw people helping me and carrying me along and letting me ride on the back of the truck, you know, and that type of thing. So you know, they're very helpful. Water, you know, and everybody says, "Oh, I thought they were just treating you really nice. I thought they were so nice." But then we realized you were the mayor, and what else could they do? You know, but I want to thank the fire department personnel. They helped me quite a bit, and I thought it was real interesting, and they dealt with the public very, very well. A lot of children were in that event, heckling me, by the way, but that's okay because I go slow. But I actually bested my time from the senior event, so that was a good thing. By 10 minutes, I think I did it faster. So I just want to say how much I appreciate the fire department's support on that. And I think the turnout was really great on behalf of the public. And I thought that they did a real good job with that. And that's all that I
No medal this time, sir?
Yes, I've got a medal. I didn't bring it again. I'll wear both of them later on. I have them hanging
You're the only
at the
senior or
house.
what?
Yeah.
We're the only
No,
senior?
everybody got a medal at this one. That's what makes it all the nicer, because we all got medals at this one. But I beat a lot of people this time. I wasn't last, which I was very thankful for. But that's all I have to report.
But Atul was last, is that what you said?
No,
Or he was just-
Atul ran in at the last 50 yards. He just kind of joined it. You know, like you see those
there you
runners
go.
at the last, and they come running in,
Right,
and then they
right,
get all the
right.
free food and all the water and the granola bars
Sweating.
and stuff, and that's what he
there you
did.
go.
Then he wanted to win a prize, and we didn't win anything.
Well, you know, Atul is a former stuntman, so
I know.
that's how they do it out
Yeah,
there.
he jumps off a truck and
That's
runs
right,
in the
that's
last
right.
50
So-
feet of the race.
There you go.
Okay, all right. City treasurer, I think, report.
Mr. Mayor.
All right. City manager's report.
I hope folks have recognized a number of activities underway in city limits relative to new businesses coming our
I've
way.
seen
It's been exciting to see some construction activity commence out on Highway 86, and we're expecting Starbucks here shortly, along with Fred Loya Insurance. And I'm hopeful that I'll be in a position to share other agreements in place and executed here in the next couple of weeks. If you haven't had a chance to cruise Main and Eastern, it's great to see the progress underway at Family Dollar. We're very excited to see that progressing, and I received confirmation late last week that Katori will in fact be occupying a portion of the property in the Vaughn Shopping Center. So we're thrilled to welcome them to our city. And I believe I'll have some information shortly to share with you about a ribbon cutting event that they aim to coordinate with us.
Seeing them working over there.
They had
I had
many
that
accolades for staff being so helpful to them as they did their final negotiations with the property owner, and they were very grateful for some issues pertaining to their on-site facilities, some corrections that needed to be made prior to occupancy, and we were able to identify them before the point where they're trying to come and pull their business license and realize, oh no, we've got all these other things to take care of. So I think that's a real accomplishment for staff in terms of model communication. The only item that I wanted to share in this part of the agenda, normally we hold the personnel summary for the first meeting of every month, where our personnel administrator comes forward and does the counts and provides you with an update on any vacancies. In light of some very pressing and time-sensitive needs, I would like to take it out of order and ask for the council's consensus relative to filling 2 vacancies. The first, it's a budgeted position, but as we've been asked, we're bringing forward to you the request to offer consensus on the ultimate hire, and this is for a police officer who has been fully vetted in our selection process internal to the city, and prior to that conditional offer being extended to the candidates, we're looking for council's affirmation that we may move forward with this hire. So that's one position. The other position, I wanted to make you aware, you may recall in the past we had a retirement this fiscal year that then resulted in an internal promotion and a vacancy of a maintenance worker position. We were able to hire 3 part-time temporaries with the vacated position of that maintenance worker. One of our maintenance workers has, the temporary workers has since separated from us, and so we've got a vacancy and a request from Parks and Rec to fill that as soon as possible, since this is such a high volume time of year for grass mowing and maintenance activities in the city. So we're looking for your consensus to move forward with the hire on the police officer. That's the last individual remaining on our eligibility list, as well as moving forward with the hire of a temporary laborer to fill a former vacated maintenance worker slot.
Okay, and that's it?
Are there any objections to us moving
Gentlemen,
forward?
what's your pleasure?
I'm okay with both those positions. Let's move
I'm
forward.
okay.
Great, so we have the information we need to proceed.
All right, you
Thank
have
you very much.
consensus.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes,
on the record of the building permits, I do
Yes.
have one question.
Sure.
Can I go back to that?
Sure, of course.
Go ahead.
And I'll see if I can answer it with
Okay,
some help from our building official.
The one line item for the GHA Enterprises, is that Florentine?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that's Mario Gonzalez's company, yes.
That was the only question.
This one.
First new building that wasn't part of the old permit.
Right, okay.
Okay.
I saw them doing that work out there.
Thank
Pouring
Thank you.
the slabs, the foundations out there. What were they doing?
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the first brand new one. They started.
This is the models for the
This is
next
6
phase,
months.
right?
We just plan checked the models for the next phase, and they're approved already. We're waiting for them to come and pull permits on those.
Thank you, Francisco.
And the status on Panna Road?
We're still working through the remaining utility issues with the gas company and AT&T. I did have a check-in conversation today with the representatives for Florentine. One of the questions that they raised, they've actually hired Hazard Construction to do the other. Hazard was the low bidder for our work, and it was awarded. for the Caltrans, the intersection of Highway 86 and Pano. Remember, we had a trigger that was built into the reimbursement agreement relative to, they have a certain number of days where the clock starts and they have to complete their portion of the work. That's the middle portion of Pano, so that we've got a fully functional street at the end. So the inquiry that was made, and I'm not sure how we may proceed because it was more exploratory in nature. Since we've got the same contractor that could mobilize one time, can we time everything to occur in a logical sequence, which may or may not be within 60 days of the notice to proceed? Because we have accounted for 60 days from the notice to proceed for all of these other issues with AT&T and the gas company. So I explained to both staff and Stuart Shellen that we want to be reasonable and not cause them undue costs, but we also want assurances that the work's going to be performed. So we'll continue to keep our minds open, and you may have an item coming to you in the not so distant future. I am hoping that our Public Works Director and engineering staff have an opportunity to communicate directly with Hazard and see how we can best coordinate both ends of the street at once.
Very good. Okay, sounds good. Okay, anything further? Okay, city attorney's report, we don't have one. Okay.
Not tonight.
We don't have a reporter or city attorney.
Report, I think, report. Okay, so then we're going to move into closed session. So thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you very much.